welcome. Today, we're looking at something really interesting. The connection between growing as a person and, well, learning a practical skill. If you've ever tried learning a new language, maybe English, you know it can feel like a huge challenge. We tend to focus on the obvious stuff, words, grammar, how to say things.
Right, the nuts and bolts.
Exactly. But what if getting really good, having that breakthrough, actually depends on something deeper? Not just what you learn, but how you approach it, how you think, the habits you build.
That's precisely it. We're connecting two really powerful ideas today. First, how a tool that's incredibly easy to access podcasts can seriously change your English listening game.
Okay.
And then we link that to a pretty fundamental idea from self-improvement. This concept that, well, you become what you think.
Interesting. So we're going to unpack how getting the right mindset, building those steady daily habits can speed up your language learning, but also maybe change how you tackle, well, any challenge, really. We've got some practical ideas, some connections you might not expect, hopefully making your learning journey, better and maybe even more fun.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start with listening. It's often the skill people don't talk about enough in language learning.
It really is. Learners often jump straight to wanting to speak or write. But listening, it's absolutely foundational.
Foundational how?
Well, think about everyday communication. Research actually shows listening takes up like 40% to 50% of the time we spend communicating each day.
40 to 50%, that's almost half.
Exactly. So when you realize nearly half our communication relies on listening, you see how vital it is for actually connecting with people. If your listening skills aren't strong, even if you speak well, real interaction gets pretty tough.
That statistic really makes you think. But even though it's so important, English learners often hit roadblocks, right? We looked into some common issues. What are some of the big ones you saw?
Yeah, there are a few key things. One of the most common is just vocabulary gaps. Simple as that. If you keep hearing words you don't know, understanding obviously takes a hit.
Sure, that makes sense.
But then there's something a bit more subtle, sound perception. Actually, being able to tell the difference between sounds that are really similar in English.
Like what kind of sounds?
Oh, the small differences like at versus it's, or maybe ship and sheep. Those can be really tricky, and messing them up can completely change the meaning.
I can see how frustrating that would be. It's not just knowing the word, but hearing it right in the first place. What else?
Well, there's also strategy limitations. Learners sometimes struggle to use helpful listening techniques, like guessing what might come next based on the topic, or even just taking useful notes while listening.
Right, active listening skills.
Exactly. And maybe the most common one is concentration challenges.
Yeah.
Just staying focused, especially when someone's talking for a while, like in a monologue, or maybe information is only said once. That's tough.
Yeah, keeping that focus.
Which is probably why learners often do better with short, separate sentences, like in some tests, compared to, say, a flowing conversation or a longer talk.
Okay, so those are some real hurdles, which leads us nicely to something presented as a really effective and, importantly, accessible solution. Podcasts. How do they help here?
Podcasts really stand out as a great tool for English learners. They're super popular now, mainly because they're so convenient, and there's just a massive variety of stuff out there. Stories, news, learning shows, interviews, you name it.
And that flexibility seems key, right? The idea that you can fit listening practice into your day without needing extra time.
Absolutely. That's a huge advantage. You can listen while you're commuting, working out, doing chores around the house. It lets you weave practice right into your existing routine.
So it turns that dead time into learning time.
Precisely. No need to carve out an extra hour you don't have. Plus, you get authentic language exposure. This isn't like the slow, careful English you might hear in a classroom.
It's the real deal.
It is. You're hearing how native speakers actually talk, the speed, the rhythm, different accents, dialects. It gives you a much better feel for real-world spoken English than, say, carefully scripted recordings.
And that helps with your own speaking, too, I imagine.
Definitely. It directly supports pronunciation enhancement. Hearing native speakers regularly helps you pick up the natural intonation, the rhythm, where the stress falls in sentences. It helps your own speaking sound more natural.
Kind of like tuning your ear. And then there's the idea of gradual comprehension. That seems really practical.
It is. Podcasts offer a natural way to level up. You can find shows with different levels of difficulty, different speeds. So you can start with something simpler, maybe made for learners with clearer, slower speech.
Right.
And then as you get better, you gradually move to more complex, authentic stuff. It's like built-in scaffolding for your listening skills.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we know why podcasts are useful and what they offer. Let's talk about how to use them effectively. What are some smart strategies to really boost listening skills this way? What's the first thing to consider when choosing?
Well, the most important piece of advice, really, is to align with your interests. Choose podcasts about topics you actually find interesting.
Why is that so important? Just for fun.
It's more than just fun, though that helps. When you're genuinely interested in something, whether it's tech or history or maybe cooking, your brain is just naturally more engaged. It makes learning feel less like work and more like, well, exploring something you like. Motivation stays higher.
Okay, engagement fuels learning. That tracks. And related to that, there's the idea of matching your language level, setting yourself up for success, basically.
Exactly. You don't want to jump into something overwhelmingly difficult right away. Starting with podcasts designed for learners can be a great first step. They often use simpler words, speak more slowly. It builds confidence.
And then you move up.
Yeah, as you feel more comfortable, you gradually try podcasts aimed at native speakers. You challenge yourself step by step without getting totally lost.
Makes sense. What about accents? You mentioned hearing different accents earlier. Should you think about that when choosing?
Definitely consider accents. Maybe start with an accent that you find fairly clear and easy to understand. That builds a good foundation.
But don't stick with just one.
Right. For really broad understanding, the goal should be to diversify later on. Listen to British English, American, Australian, maybe others too. The more accents you expose yourself to, the better your ear becomes at handling the variety you'll actually encounter.
Okay, good advice. So you've picked your podcast. Now, how do you make sure you're actually learning actively, not just letting the sound wash over you?
Great question. It's about moving from passive hearing to active listening. One really effective way is setting specific goals for each listening session.
Goals? Like what?
Well, before you hit play, maybe decide, okay, this time I'm just trying to get the main topic, or I want to try and catch 5 new words, or maybe I'll focus on understanding the speaker's opinion. Having a specific target sharpens your focus.
So it makes it more intentional, less like just zoning out.
Exactly. And another tactic, which might seem odd for listening, is taking notes.
Notes while listening.
Yeah, just jotting down key ideas, new words that jump out, maybe phrases you find interesting. It forces your brain to process the information more actively. And then looking over those notes later really helps reinforce what you heard.
Okay, I can see that. It makes it more concrete. What if you listen and just don't understand parts?
That's where repeat and re-listen comes in. It's not failure, it's a learning strategy.
Right.
Unlike a real conversation, you can hit rewind on a podcast. Listening again, maybe focusing on a tricky section, lets you catch things you missed the first time. It really deepens your understanding.
Okay, repetition is key. And then to really make the learning stick.
The next step is to discuss or write about it. Take what you heard and do something with it.
Like talk about the episode with someone.
Yeah, or even just write a short summary for yourself. Try using some of the new words or ideas. This moves the knowledge from just something you understood, receptive, to something you can use, productive. That's a crucial step for fluency.
That makes sense, activating the language. Now, one thing that really stood out was the benefit of leveraging transcripts. That sounds like a huge help, especially for beginners.
Oh, it's a massive help, a game changer, really. If a podcast offers a transcript, use it.
How does it help specifically?
Well, you can read along while you listen. This connects the sound of the words to how they look. It helps you confirm words you think, figure out new words much more easily. And it's great if the speaker talks really fast. It tackles both sound issues and speed issues.
It's like having subtitles for your ears.
Kind of, yeah. It's incredibly useful.
Okay, so these are great active strategies. But how do you make sure you actually do them regularly? That seems to be the final piece.
It really comes down to integrating podcasts into a consistent routine. Consistency trumps intensity almost every time in learning.
So find a regular time.
Yes. Dedicate specific slots, even if they're short. Maybe 15 minutes with your morning coffee or during your commute every day. Making it a habit is what leads to real improvement over time.
And don't just rely on podcasts alone.
Ideally, no. Combine podcasts with other learning methods. Keep up with reading, maybe some writing practice, speaking if you can. Podcasts become one powerful part of a bigger, well-rounded learning plan.
And luckily, tech makes this pretty easy these days.
For sure. Apps like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts make finding and managing shows simple. And using smart speakers means you can listen hands-free while doing other things. It removes some of the friction.
All right. We've covered the practical side, using podcasts effectively, but there's this whole other dimension mindset, this idea that you become what you think. How does that fit into learning English?
It's absolutely central. This idea, you find it in ancient philosophy, in modern psychology. It basically says our thoughts create our reality. They shape how we see things, how we feel, what we do.
So our thoughts drive our actions.
And ultimately our results. Like the old saying goes, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. Our thinking patterns really do build our character, our path.
That's quite profound. And while maybe we can't stop thoughts from popping into our head, we can learn to notice them and maybe redirect them.
Exactly. We can cultivate awareness. And this power of mindset links directly to a big issue for language learners: listening anxiety.
Ah, yes. Feeling stressed or nervous when trying to understand spoken English?
Precisely. And there was a fascinating study on this. It found that students who listened extensively to podcasts, but in a relaxed way, on their own time, their listening anxiety actually went down significantly.
Really? Just listening more, but casually?
Yes. It suggests that consistent, low-pressure exposure helps reduce that stress. On the flip side, students who didn't get much exposure saw their anxiety go up.
That makes sense. The study also mentioned that being able to choose when and where they listened was important.
It did. That freedom gives learners a sense of control, of autonomy, which boosts confidence and takes away some of the pressure you might feel in a formal classroom setting.
Okay, so a relaxed approach helps the mindset. This leads us to building habits, right? Because consistency seems key here.
Absolutely. It's like that quote: motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. Motivation comes and goes, right? Habits are what carry you through when motivation dips.
That's a crucial difference. We often wait for motivation, but progress comes from habit. So how do you build those learning habits?
Well, you need to break down big goals like get fluent into tiny daily actions. So instead of that huge goal, it's just listen to one 10-minute podcast episode today. Make it small.
Small and doable.
And make the habit obvious and attractive. Put your headphones where you'll see them. Link the habit to something you already enjoy, like I only get my fancy coffee while I listen to my English podcast.
Habit stacking. Making it easy and rewarding.
Exactly. Reduce the friction, increase the appeal. And then there's the power of 1% improvement.
Getting just a tiny bit better each day.
Yeah. It sounds small, but those tiny gains compound massively over time. Every time you choose to listen, even for a few minutes, you're casting a vote for becoming that person who speaks English confidently. It adds up.
But what about slipping up? Missing a day?
That's where maintaining momentum is critical. The saying goes, missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new habit. The key is to get back on track immediately the next day. Don't let one missed session derail you.
And maybe tracking helps.
Tracking progress, even just ticking a box on a calendar, can be surprisingly motivating. It shows you your commitment visually.
Okay, so consistent habits are vital. Finally, let's talk about cultivating a resilient learner's mindset. How do you handle the inevitable struggles?
First off, self-compassion. Learning is hard. You will struggle. You will make mistakes. Being overly critical of yourself just makes it harder.
So be kind to yourself.
Yeah. Acknowledge it was tough. Take a breath. Maybe remind yourself what's done is done. And move on. Don't dwell on it.
That's important. And what about feelings like frustration or feeling overwhelmed?
You need to embrace those emotions, not ignore them. The idea isn't to pretend they don't exist, but maybe, as one source put it, to stay with your feelings for just long enough to let them sink in, but without developing a permanent reaction to them.
So feel it, acknowledge it, but don't get stuck in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let it pass through without letting it define your whole experience. And related to that is trying to focus on the present moment.
Not worrying about past mistakes or future tests.
Right. When you're listening or studying, try to be fully there. Worrying about what you missed 5 minutes ago or how hard the next part will be just distracts you. Being the silent watcher of your thoughts, just noticing them without getting caught up, helps you stay focused on the now.
That takes practice, I bet.
It does. And the last piece is cultivating openness to change and new ideas. Be willing to question your own assumptions, maybe even assumptions about your own ability to learn.
Being willing to change your mind.
Yes, and your beliefs. Like that quote says, progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. This applies to learning, to life, to everything. Being open allows you to grow.
Wow. What a fascinating connection between practical tools like podcasts and these deeper mindset principles. We've really covered a lot, from why listening is so vital for English learners to specific strategies for using podcasts.
Making that listening active and effective.
And then diving into how your inner world, your thoughts, your habits, your resilience, it truly shapes your learning success. It's this combination, isn't it? The right tools and the right internal approach.
Exactly. Understanding that synergy, how your mindset powers your use of tools like podcasts that can really unlock faster progress.
So as we wrap up, here's something for you to think about. Beyond just learning English, how could you apply these ideas elsewhere in your life?
Yeah, think about it. This focus on intentional listening, being present, building small daily habits, being kind to yourself when things get tough, staying open.
How might focusing on those things change how you approach other challenges or other goals you have? What possibilities open up when you become more aware of how you think and then act on that awareness?
It's a powerful question. We really encourage you to reflect on these connections and try putting some of these principles into practice. Your learning journey, and maybe other parts of your life too, could really benefit.
Absolutely. Keep learning, keep reflecting, and stay tuned for our next discussion. And if you found this helpful, please like and subscribe.